Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us over here in Prachinburi, Thailand. We're about 20 kilometers away from the town proper, and we're going to look at the oldest Buddha footprint in all of Thailand. A couple of years back I went and I saw the oldest reclining Buddha that was a Dawati era reclining Buddha. This is a Dawati era Buddha footprint, and there's a bunch of other stuff around here. We'll take a look at the old arogayasala, the hospital temple that was built here by King Jayavarman VII. We'll take a look at the beret, and there's a modern temple and a little museum as well as the Buddha footprint. So let's see what we see today. And this is the area. So there's a little bit of a market in here, all that here. A little bit of fresh vegetables and stuff like that. This is for the locals to come over and check out. This is, they were hoping for it to be kind of touristy, but it's really not. It's kind of out of the way. Not too many people know about it. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's underwhelming because they haven't done a lot of excavation here. See, she's got her hats and stuff like that. So over that away is the beret. There's a small ruin here, and then the arogayasala and the Buddha footprint is over here. And there's a well here. Yeah, this was an important town along the coastline. Believe it or not, Bangkok and all of that was kind of in a marsh, and then sediment over the centuries has built it up to where it's now usable land. But back in the day, it was kind of in the middle of water. So this coastline went up here all the way up to Lopburi. It was quite a bit different than what it is now. So this was a densely populated area. It was about 20 meters or so above the water. So it was a nice little place for them to set up. And they could go on the Bang Pakang River that goes down to Cha Cheng Sao now. And that's how they would be able to trade with China and India and everywhere else. And this is the hospital temple, the arogayasala. And you can see the layout. So here's the wall. This would have been the library. And you can see the center prong that would have been right there. And this would have been the Gopura, the entry. And then there's another ruin right there in the trees. I don't know what its function was. And you can see over there would have been a pond. That was kind of the layout of the arogayasala, is they had a little pond and then they had the normal footprint of the buildings here. And this is all laterite stone. They say they found a four-armed Buddha that was in here, that's in the museum now. So this is the pedestal. They would have had an image here. Yeah, King Jayavarman VII built hospital temples and other buildings all around the kingdom in the late 12th century, early 13th century. You can see over here, these are carved laterite stones also. Yeah, this is almost down to the base. I mean, there's just a little tiny bit of the structures, but not much. So that would have been the library there. And then you can see the Bodhi trees over there. Now they say there's the oldest sapling from the Bodhi tree brought in from Sri Lanka here in Prachinburi. And the kings have been over here, King Rama V, everything else. So those would have been all carved. You can just see a little bit of the outlines now. Yeah, they would have been at the top of the pediments around the entryway when you would have came in. And this would have been the center prong right here. So there would have been a lotus bud on the top of it, and there would have been the hospital Buddha image inside of it. King Jayavarman VII was Buddhist. He converted to Buddhism and converted the kingdom into Buddhism also. He saw Hinduism as a failure because they lost Angkor, and whenever he liberated it, then he saw Hinduism as failing the Khmer. And so everything that he has built is Buddhist. So right over here, this is the Buddha footprint. You can see this is the laterite stone pedestal that whole center prong would have been built on. You can see where they've drilled the holes to move those. And then right over here, this is a well. And then these are those little standing stones that you would see that would line like the walkway. Really, really cool. You can see the well still holds water here. These guys are getting some water out of it. So right here, this is where you come over to pray. They got a couple of little laterite stones there. You take your shoes off, and then that's the prayer to the Buddha footprint. There's a cult that worships those. And then you got these stones that go all the way around here. So this was all redone fairly recently here, but you can still see the Buddha footprint over here. So this is what the Buddha footprint looks like. So you got the two little prayer wheels there, and then you can see the footprints there, the toes, and then in the center is the swastika. That symbol predates the 20th century iteration of it in Germany. So you see those are the prayer wheels right there, and then you can see how the toes are carved. So it's got some water. It's been getting a lot of rain up here. Those are the toes. Oh, this is really, really, really cool. So this is 6th century-ish is what they believe, which is just very, very old. It's amazing how old it is. And you can see all around. So there would have been wooden houses and everything else here. The only things that were made out of stone were the religious buildings. So this would have been a really densely populated community all around here. And they built this building over the top of it to protect it. They say that this was pretty much unknown. They rediscovered it in the 20th century, and they came over here and started excavating. So there could be a whole lot more stuff out here in the trees just waiting to be found. But you can see how these trees have taken over part of the ruin, the same as all of this. They found lots of pottery, they found tiles, they found Buddha images, carvings, everything else all through here. And check out these Bodhi trees here. So the symbol of Prachinburi actually is the Bodhi tree because of its historical ties to Sri Lanka and how old they are. So this is the library here, and then we'll go back and we'll go look at those little buildings over there. And we'll look at the little museum. It's a little free community museum, and then the beret and the modern temple here. And you can see how they carved in that laterite all around the base of that. And the image, actually, you see this hole? There would have been a slot that would have slid right down in it to hold the image in place. It was pretty ingenious how they did those. Okay, so let's look over here at this other ruin, and we'll just walk through. So you can see how there's just rock and everything else all around in here. So there would have been quite a bit of stuff in this area. And there's ruins probably for like 10 kilometers kind of to the north also. There was, you see them on a map, it says like ancient ruin 22, ancient ruin 26, ancient ruin 223. So there's lots and lots of stuff in this area. And more of the laterite stone over here, just all through the trees. And so they started excavating this a little bit, but they haven't done a whole lot with it, which is a shame. I'd like to see all of this stuff, you know, fixed up, but it is about, you know, money. There's never enough money to be able to do what they need to do to these old sites. You can see how they dug down here and a little bit of the walls and stuff like that. There's just trees growing here, so that would have been, you know, a tower, more of the wall. And then you got the modern Buddhist temple over there that has kind of an interesting reclining Buddha inside of it. We'll take a look at it, the last thing of this video. And more of the laterite stones. And you can see how they just came and dug straight down here. They didn't disturb the tree. And then more of the wall over here. So this would have been a Gopura, the entryway right here, that would have led you over to the beret. Yeah, the laterite stones were pretty easy for them to carve and to quarry to get them over here. The sandstone took a little bit more work. I don't see any sandstone out here in the trees. So you know there would have had a sandstone that would have been the top of that arogayasala, that hospital temple. It's probably over here in this free museum, or maybe it's in the Prachinburi Museum. Over here's the modern Buddhist temple. And then here's the beret and the little museum. So let's go and look at the museum, and then we'll check out that man-made water storage, the beret. Looks like they have a few more pieces of the pedestals and a little bit here. And they do have a mock-up of what that would have looked like. So right there, you see, that would have been the Buddha footprint. They would have had that little building. And then this would have been the arogayasala, the hospital temple. And then you see those right above the doors right there. That's that huge pediment. That's those stone carvings that we saw. And then this would have been the library, and then the Gopura that we went through. And then over this way would have been that second building we looked at. They don't have it displayed here. They got a few more relics laying out here on the ground. So there are some pieces of sandstone. So they did have some of the pedestals, and then these would have been at the top of the wall. They represent like an unopened lotus flower. And these would have been maybe the Shiva Linga, huh? They are sandstone. Okay, so this is the free little museum. They got a mock-up of what the ruins look like. So this is what I was saying about the coastline. So you can see Prachinburi is way over here, and it would have been on the coast all the way around to Lopburi. And you see Bangkok is right there, and that's the Gulf. So Nakhon Pathom, all of that would have been on the coast. So that was during the 5th to 11th centuries. And then they show some more of the Hindu shrines and other ruins, some of the artifacts that they've found. So it looks like there's quite a bit of English here also. So you can come over here and read a little bit about it. They talk about the town's name. So they have it in English and in Thai. And they talk about the Khmer inscriptions that mentions the name Sangwok, which would have been this town here. It's kind of amazing that the Dawadi were here, then the Thais with the Khmer, and then when the Khmer Empire collapsed, all these places like this were abandoned. Oh, we got some Buddha footprints here. Oh, that's cool. Sri Lanka, Nepal. Got some in India, in Cambodia, and Burma. Oh, and then this is what the Buddha footprint looks like here. So they talk about the images in there. Yeah, there's a little bit of data here. There's not any real old artifacts, but still kind of cool. There's the well that we saw. And then, so you got the mix of Dawadi and the Khmer. So the Buddha footprint was Dawadi, and then they built the Khmer ruins, the arogayasala, by King Jayavarman VII. And then here's talking about the Bodhi tree. All right, so this is the whole little museum. So let's go look at the bray, and then we'll walk through the modern temple. We got a chicken on the hoof over here. So this is the walkway that would have went to the bray. Back when the Khmer were using it, they would have came in part of their ceremonies. And it was also the responsibility of the king to provide fresh water for all of his subjects. That's why you see all of these Khmer buildings with these berets next to it. All right, this is humongous. We got a guy over here with a weed whacker. So this is the Si Mahosot. So it's 115 by 212 meters, and it's 3.5 meters deep. And it was lined with laterite. So you can't see the laterite here, but you can see a little bit of the laterite stone over there. And they got a modern pump over there and all the lilies. Oh, this is huge. So they would have dug this, and then they would have put the dirt up here to make it into the rectangular shape. And that's kind of the earmarks of the Khmer, is they would have done everything rectangular, while the Dawadi did kind of ovals and circular shapes. All right, so let's take a look at this, what Si Mahosot now. Wow, this is really a nice little temple. So they got a standing marble Buddha there, and in the hall with the prayer wheels on the front. They got the concrete and the marble. And then there's a sign over there that's talking about one of the ruins is off to the right. Huh, might be something to ride around and see. I don't know how the weather's going to hold out. It rained on me all the way from Bangkok to here, and it's really cloudy. maybe it'll break and I'll get a nice day to spend some time over here. And you can see this is the ordination hall. They've carved those. These are the Buasima stones. Has the little prayer wheel in it. So they have some smaller ones up there, which is a little bit different. And all the little figures up there. And inside will be the Buddha. This is where the new monks are ordained. That's why they call it the ordination hall. And it's just open. There's no monks here, even though this is an active temple. They're not in here. A lot of times they'll be in here giving the blessings and stuff like that to people. There's the chair for them right here. Looks like, I guess there's the phone number if you need to get a hold of them. This is a country temple. And all the normal stuff. Got the QR code there. You can scan and make deposits. Oh, that's really nice. Has the little Naga hood there. And then they have all the days a week Buddhas over here. And places to get your fortunes and make donations. Okay, let's look at the reclining Buddha. That'll be the last thing that we look at. You got more shrines and stuff here. The Naga. That's kind of cool looking. Yeah, this was not on a major river. The Bangpakong River was nearby, but this settlement here was not. In that little museum, they talked about how they got all their fresh water from wells here. And they think that maybe that Buddha footprint was redone in the late 12th, early 13th century by King Jayavarman VII. But it does date back to the 6th century. So you get the Erawan here. And all the temple grounds are over there. That's all the kutis, the monk quarters that way. And then you go in here and you go underneath the elephant. That's good luck for the Thais. So let's go under it and we'll look at the reclining Buddha here. So you go under, and you're supposed to go under it like 3 times, I think, if you circle around. And you got the little guardians here, and then the reclining Buddha from India. This is the death pose here. Yeah, so you see this is not a common pose that you see, because this is whenever he's dead. And then you got the toes that are different lengths also, which is unusual. And then check out this hall with all the murals painted up here. The lotus flowers, goddess of the earth here. Oh, this is really a kind of a cool little temple. Just a small little country temple. It's so quiet, there's nobody around, just me. And then you can see the eyes are closed and the top knot and everything is quite a bit different. So the Thais come over here and stick the gold leaf on it, as you can see. And then this is all tied into the Buddha footprint. That's the first thing we saw. Oh, and it does have the prayer wheel here on the feet. Well, that'll finish up our video over here at this Si Mahosot, or however you say it. This is quite an interesting area to me. I really love going and seeing stuff like this. This is off the beaten path. It's cool to see the oldest known Buddha footprint here. And I'll probably tie a video in the comments down below of the oldest reclining Buddha, which is another one of the Dawadi era temples and stuff like that that's here in this part of Thailand. This is a couple hours out of Bangkok. It's not an easy trip to get over here. If you have a car or something like that, it would be worth your time if you're going to Nakhon Ratchasima or Buriram. Make a little trip, a little side jog over here to check this out if you're interested in stuff like this, like I am. I love to go see old rocks and old buildings and stuff like that. So this is right up my alley. So hopefully you enjoyed the video as much as I did coming over here to check this out. If you did, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and you get to see more stuff like this. And if you have any questions or comments, if you know more about it, I would really like to know. This is kind of fascinating. So tell me a little bit more about it in the comments if you know more. And until next time, from over here in Thailand, remember, life is a journey. So until next time, enjoy.